The Dark Ages weren't just dark. They were terrifying. Justice in this era was often cruel, gruesome, and unthinkable by today's standards. Torture and brutal punishments weren't just methods of punishment. They were tools of fear and control. In this video, we're uncovering the shocking punishments and torture techniques that define the Dark Ages. Brace yourself. This is not for the faint of heart. Justice in the Dark Ages wasn't about rehabilitation. It was about deterrence. Crimes ranging from theft to heresy were met with punishments designed to terrify and humiliate. Public executions and gruesome displays were meant to send a clear message: obey the law or suffer the consequences. Let's dive into some of the most horrifying examples, starting with the infamous stocks and pillories. The stocks and pillories were some of the most common forms of public punishment. Criminals were locked in place, often for hours or even days, and left at the mercy of the public. Villagers would pelt them with rotten food, stones, or worse. But humiliation wasn't the only consequence. Many prisoners died from exposure, dehydration, or infection from injuries inflicted by angry mobs. When it came to capital punishment, the methods were as varied as they were gruesome. Hanging was the most common, but the Dark Ages had no shortage of creative ways to end someone's life. Take the method of being drawn and quartered, for instance. Used for crimes like treason, the condemned would be hanged until near death, then disemboweled, and finally cut into 4 pieces. The remains were often displayed publicly as a warning. Torture wasn't just about punishment. It was often used to extract confessions, whether true or not. Here are some of the most infamous devices and methods used in the Dark Ages. The rack was designed to dislocate joints by pulling the victim's limbs in opposite directions. The excruciating pain often forced confessions, even if the accused was innocent. A deceptively simple device. Thumbscrews crushed fingers or toes with unbearable precision. It was often used to extract information from spies or suspected heretics. Though debated by historians, the Iron Maiden is said to have enclosed its victim in a spiked chamber, piercing their body without causing immediate death. Whether a myth or reality, its reputation still sends shivers down the spine. This terrifying device, called the Pair of Anguish, was inserted into the victim's mouth, rectum, or other orifices and then expanded, tearing tissue and causing unbearable pain. Religious persecution fueled some of the most brutal torture methods. The Inquisition, which began in the late Middle Ages, used pain to force confessions of heresy or witchcraft. Victims accused of witchcraft were often subjected to the water test. They were thrown into a river. If they floated, they were deemed guilty and executed. If they sank and drowned, they were considered innocent, but at a terrible cost. Even minor offenses could lead to brutal consequences. Thieves often had their hands or fingers cut off. Branding irons were used to mark criminals permanently, and flogging left lasting scars both physically and emotionally. Imagine being punished for stealing bread by losing a hand, a fate that left many unable to work and doomed to further suffering. The punishments and torture of the Dark Ages remind us of the fear and control that defined much of this era. While these methods are shocking, they also highlight humanity's evolution toward justice and compassion, or at least, we hope. Reflecting on these brutal practices makes us appreciate the progress we've made, but it's also a stark reminder of what unchecked power and superstition can lead to. Thank you for joining me on this dark journey into the brutal punishments and torture of the Dark Ages. Which of these methods shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more gripping historical content. Until next time, stay curious and remember, history isn't always pretty, but it's always worth exploring.